Well, ladies and gentlemen, we have an update on the Carolina Panthers, and they could be trending towards a sad potential relocation based on the current information we have. The big time renovation that was revealed about a week and a half ago, I questioned it initially, and obviously people are questioning it now with this new article that just came out. The Carolina Panthers possibly threatening relocation based on the payment structure of this renovation, with potentially $650 million being paid in public money. You take a look at all of the renderings, they make zero sense. And that's really where I want to start with this potential renovation, because everyone talks about, well, the money, it's ridiculous. Their owner is the richest owner in the NFL. Why doesn't he just pay for the entire thing? Just look at the renderings and how crappy they look. Like, let's just be honest about it. Whenever you see something like this, you know right off the bat, it's not right. There's something wrong. Like, you're going to renovate a stadium that really, at this point, I don't think can be really revived through a renovation. You would have to do so much to the exterior, so much to the interior. They want to redesign the exterior, but half of it is still hollowed out. The interior is still two giant bowls of seats. They're just removing a few sections out of the upper deck and putting in bar areas and social spaces. The design of the stadium fully enclosed is the problem. This is a core issue, and it doesn't get solved by an $800 million renovation. Look at the rendering and tell me that stadium in 10 to 15 years is really going to be holding up with some of these super stadiums that are being built. And I'm not saying this because I want them to get a new stadium. I'm just saying this because when you look at it, it does not make sense to invest this amount of money into a renovation. The stadium will not be improved very much. The renovation won't even be complete until like 2027 or 2028. And then you're going to be stuck with it possibly until 2044 as one of the worst stadiums in the NFL. The renovation itself does not make any sense. When I assessed this stadium a few months ago, because I said, and it had been rumored, to be fair, like last year, that they were potentially looking to put a roof on this stadium or try and plan for a new stadium. I assessed the stadium and said it's too far gone. It would cost billions of dollars to renovate and make it look good, and not to do it. And then they come out with this $850 million renovation. The renderings look terrible. Half of the, exterior isn't even finished. The interior, there's really nothing done to it. And it's still fully closed. So the structural design of this stadium does not make any sense. We're already off to a bad start when it comes to this potential renovation. And on top of that, we've got the Carolina Panthers, who were horrible last year. They didn't even own the first overall pick. They traded up to get Bryce Young. They were 2-15 or whatever. And obviously the fan sentiment is not good. The attendance was horrible towards the end of the year. You can see this article, all is not well with the Carolina Panthers, and it has nothing to do with the recent years of putrid performance. No, actually it does. So the reason that the recent performance would have an effect on this renovation is because people are going to be a lot less motivated to want to publicly fund a renovation if the team recently has sucked. If the Carolina Panthers were coming off multiple playoff appearances, you would be looking, in terms of renovating it through public money, a better public sentiment. Now, you could argue the Kansas City Chiefs, they would be able to get public money and it got shot down. I think that's a different situation because that was a dual thing with both the Chiefs and the Royals. It wasn't just the Chiefs asking for money, and that was a weird renovation in and of itself. But the team playing poorly will also negatively affect the fans' interests in publicly spending money on a renovation. And you really can't play more poorly or mismanage a franchise than what happened with the Carolina Panthers. They didn't even have the number one overall pick. It's just so crazy. And you can see taxpayers possibly paying $650 million in revenue, giving it to Tepper Sport Entertainment to renovate Bank of America Stadium as part of a $1.3 billion proposal. Oh, so it is $1.3 billion. That was the initial number. But I do believe the stadium renovation itself is around $800 million, and then maybe, there's add-ons a few years after the renovation happens to around $1.3 billion that the ownership would pay for that. Over 60% of residents polled disagree with the proposal, which would exchange the $650 million for a 20-year guarantee that the team would not relocate from Charlotte. This guarantee gives TSE a 15-year out to leave in 2039 and pay any outstanding debt in exchange for this move. So what a horrible deal that would be too. They're doing, a possible renovation asking for $650 million, but they can still leave in 2039. To put this into context, normally when you get these deals where it's like, especially the Carolina Panthers situation, because right now the lease apparently ran out. They can leave at any point for basically no relocation fee if they wanted to. That's another thing with this situation that's a little bit unique. They can leave zero relocation fee. If there's another city, let's say Austin, let's say San Antonio, let's say St. Louis, let's say Toronto, those would be my top picks for a Panthers relocation. If the city wants to pay for a new stadium and the ownership is happy with leaving, they could leave with no fee. So that's another problem. But when it comes to like cities funding stadiums, normally it's like the team is going to be there for the next 30 years guaranteed. This situation, they've got an out after 15 years, and the renovation won't even happen until like 2026 or 2027 anyways. So they could leave 12 or 13 years after the renovation with that out in 2039. None of this really makes sense. It's a very strange timeline. I do understand it, considering if this is the renovation to the stadium, they're going to have to undoubtedly build a new stadium, I would say within 10 to 15 years, because this renovation is not going to age well into the 2030s. I can guarantee you that. And they also do have Charlotte FC, I guess the MLS soccer team, playing there. And this is interesting because there has been a huge rise in MLS soccer stadiums that have a capacity of like 25,000. And could we get a situation where Charlotte FC gets their own custom soccer stadium while the Panthers relocate, and then Bank of America Stadium gets just demolished? Could that be a potential option? I don't know. You can see these stadium projects from 2025 through 2029. So the first tier, these are the city mandated projects. The cost right around $680 million. They will be replacing all of the seating. It looks like they're also getting the elevated exterior facade during the first stage, locker room, safety and security, stadium restroom renovations, city view patio on the 500 level. So that is them ripping out sections of seating in the upper deck and replacing them with bars. That's basically what that is. And then also scoreboard, video board. So the main renovation would be happening in tier 1. That would likely be done, I guess, in 2025, possibly in the off season, because they're not going to want to leave the home of their stadium and play somewhere else. I would imagine it would happen in the offseason, with Tier 2 happening possibly in 2026, Tier 3 happening 2027, 2028. Looks like press box redesign, new premium spaces. So there's a lot when it comes to this renovation. But again, when you're talking about one of the richest owners in the sport, it's only an $850 million renovation to the stadium itself, and you want it's only an $800 million renovation and they want $650. So that's a real tough pill to swallow if you are the city. And a lot of the fans originally thought that there was going to be some type of roof put onto the stadium to try and lure the Super Bowl or other events, things like that. Or they just wanted it because it's, nice to have a roof when it comes to controlling the environment. This is something I thought they were going to push for a new stadium. It was going to be some type of translucent roof, maybe a retractable roof, something like that. I thought it was almost a slam dunk. And then they come out with these renderings. And now we're talking about, based on their weird situation with basically having no lease right now, they can relocate at any point. Obviously, they really can't relocate at any point because you would have to have an agreement with another city. It takes time. It takes years to do that. But I'm just saying in general, this could be a big issue if 60% of the public does not want this. We saw what happened with the Chiefs when it got shot down. Their ownership was pissed off. They had to go back to the drawing board, and you could tell that they were not happy about that. And this could be a thing where Carolina Panthers fans, there's just no incentive to pay this money for this renovation at all. It is not a good renovation. The stadium is really not improved very much. The team has been horrible the past few years. And you've got a very rich owner. It's not like this renovation costs $2 billion or anything like that. I mean, even the Jaguars renovation, that's $1.4 billion. It's kind of a 50-50 split, public versus private money. This would be like an 80-20 split, or like 75-25 split, with public paying significantly more. So this is something that we're going to have to track. It's a weird situation based on the fact that they can leave with basically no penalty. And also, we know there are multiple cities around the United States that would love to have a team that I'm sure would be able to somehow fund a stadium. Just look at the state of Kansas trying to lure the Chiefs from Missouri. They're talking about paying the full $2 billion in public money through like state bonds for a brand new stadium to try and lure the Chiefs across state lines. That's how desperate some of these cities are to get teams, in their little county. This is a huge thing, and I think St. Louis would make a pitch with a brand new stadium proposal. Possibly they could play at the Edwards-Jones Dome, although it's not called that anymore. I've been talking about St. Louis a few times. They're getting great attendance for, the football that's currently going on, the UFL or the XFL. And then you're also talking about maybe Austin, Texas, San Antonio, that area being another relocation option if it does come to that. We will have to see what ends up happening when it comes to this developing situation with the taxpayers potentially putting their foot down and not wanting to pay the $650 million. But either way, guys, that is going to do it for this video. Make sure you follow me on X. Link to that's always in the description.